The next thing we want to be able to do is take a problem that's in standard form and write it into vertex form. Well, if you notice up here on the vertex form, I always had something squared. So I have to find a way to turn a problem like this into something squared. So if you think about how this one factors, it would factor to x plus 8 times x plus 8, which is x plus 8 squared. So this is a really good quadratic to use for squaring, to see a quantity squared. Let's notice some things about this. For one thing, the number that goes in this spot right here is half of that number. Also, that number is squared to give you this number. So let's say I had one of these and I want to work backwards. Let's go like x minus 3 squared. I could work backwards and say, okay, I know I'm going to have x squared, and this number should be half of that number. So this is going to be, what's half of a number that gives you 3 is 6, and the number that goes here is that number squared. This is a little bit complicated, but just hang with me here and we'll figure this out. So on this next one, I want to try to turn this problem into one of these problems. So my goal is to have x plus or minus a number squared. And I know that the number that I put right here has to be half of whatever this number is. So let's think, what is half of 10? 5. But the problem is that number is not 5 squared. So I'm going to have to fix this equation to make it work. So I'm going to move the 3 to the other side so that I have x squared plus 10x equals positive 3. So now the number that goes right here has to be half of this number, but square it. So half of that number is 5, and 5 squared is 25. So what I've just done is added 25 to the left side of this equation. So since I added 25 to the left side of this equation, I have to add 25 to the right side. So here's what I've got. X plus 5 squared equals 28. Now, we could go ahead and solve this. I'm not going to solve it for now, because when we put this in vertex form, we're going to end up just moving this 28 back over to the side. I will solve it. If I solved it, I would take the square root of both sides. So I get x plus 5 equals plus or minus the square root of 28, and then I would move the 5 over. But we're going to kind of leave this step out for now because it's not going to be a part of our graphing for today. What we're focusing on is turning a problem in standard form into a square problem. Okay, let's do this next one. So I know that I want to have something squared. So the number I put here is going to be half of whatever that number is. What is half of negative 6? Negative 3. So since this is negative 3, the number that goes here should be 3 squared, which is 9. So I'm going to have to move the 8 to the other side. And what I would put right here is 9. And that factors to x minus 3 and x minus 3. So that's why I have x minus 3 squared. Now, since I added minus 9 to this side, actually I'm adding plus 9 because negative 3 squared is 9. Then I have to add negative 3 squared to this side. So this equals 8 plus 9, which is 17.